Hi there, I'm Lanna Monday Emmett, and welcome to another edition of Hill Speak Radio Podcast. And today we are with Lefford Fate. How are you?
I'm doing good, Lanna. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I
Awesome.
had the wonderful opportunity to meet Lefford at our leadership certification. I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
close to 2 weeks ago. And I was just totally amazed by his presentation. So I thought it might be a good opportunity to introduce him to everybody else, the rest of the world, and maybe you can even talk a little bit about how that you got involved with Napoleon Hill.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it was 1986, and it was just like that book, The Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times and the worst of times. On the 18th of March, 1986, my first son was born. The problem was on March 4th, my mom passed, and my mom's my favorite lady. And I
Oh,
kind of took a bit of a tailspin because, the people in my life were, a lot of people were trying to be helpful, but they weren't. I had some people that were telling me that I wasn't sad enough because my mom had passed. And then I had other people telling me I wasn't happy enough because I had a new son. And so I was torn. And I started to spiral out of control, getting in a little trouble. I was in the military. I was in the military for 3 years at that time. And I was almost going to get kicked out of the military. And there was a guy named John Gunther, and he was my non-commissioned officer in charge. He was a supervisor, and he saw something in me I didn't see in myself. But more than that, he took time to talk to me, but I start noticing things about this guy. He was the guy that everybody looked up to, always had a nice smile on his face, even for somebody like me that was in trouble. And I started to watch him. But he was always reading. And one of the books that he was reading was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And so, I started talking to him and I said, I'm going to start doing what this guy does and following what this guy does. And so I jumped into the book, and it made me understand that, no matter where you came from, no matter what's going on, for every bad thing that happened to you, there's a seed of an equivalent benefit.
right.
And one of the things I thought about the seed, it wasn't necessarily a benefit for me, but there was a seed. And if I took care of that seed, I would be okay. So, and since then, I've been studying Napoleon Hill. What I thought was studying, I was reading about Napoleon Hill, and I was trying to do the practices, but I took it to a whole new level about a year ago when I was introduced to Don Green by a guy named Steve Copeland. And I went down to Wise to meet this guy, and then my life has just totally changed since then.
Yeah,
So,
Don's great, isn't he?
yeah. And you got to stop me sometime because I'm an excitable kind of guy. But yeah, Don is just an amazing man and such a great person. So I've learned a lot on top of that by being in his circle.
Right. And he's almost like a walking encyclopedia of all things Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. He takes it, and every time I get a chance to talk to Alana, he takes it to a deeper level. You kind of read. I've read all these books over and over and over.
Right.
I actually went through a process that I was reading persistence under Think and Grow Rich every day for 30 days, just to get deep in, to keep pushing and keep pushing. And I talked to him, and he tells me stuff about that was in the book. I was like, wow. So yeah,
Yeah, he's good for that.
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So now I understand you recently put together a book.
Yes.
You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yes, I went through a year ago. I went through the leader certification program, and I met some great people going through that process. And all my teammates from 2018, we would get together and we would mastermind. We would try to help each other out. And through that process, we started talking about we need to do something. We need to do something. And then I said, yeah, we need to do something. And somebody said, well, why don't you do something? And so what we did, so we reached out, and there were actually 10 of the leaders that said, yes, let's put together in this book called Pathways to a Positive Mental Attitude. Let's put something together so we can help the people that come behind us and actually for us to dig into it. And 10 of us got together and we looked at a couple of chapters each, and we talked about how these principles had positively affected our lives. Now, in walks Don Green.
Yeah.
At the 11th hour, one of the members, one of the fellow contributors, authors, had to fall out. And I kind of freaked out there for a second because I wanted to get this thing done.
Right.
And I'm a believer, so I just prayed about it, and all of a sudden it just came back to me and said, call Don Green. So it's one of those, when you pray, that's prayers, you talking to God,
Right.
intuition, God talking back to you. And so he said, call Don Green. And I immediately said, Don Green will not have time for me. But I was obedient and I called him and I said, Don, this is the deal. Could you help us out? And he said something to me that blew me away and it changed my life. He said, Lefford, I can't do it today, but if you call me tomorrow, I can do it. What? It's Sean. He said, I can't do it today, but if you call me tomorrow, we'll do it. And Don gave me 2 hours of his time, and we interviewed him on a couple of the principles. And he just blew it out of the water, and he actually became a co-author in this project with us. And it's just amazing.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
I mean, who would have thunk that the executive director to Napoleon Hill, because, a lot of people say that they're there for you. And a lot of people say that, hey, just if you can conceive it, you believe it, then you can achieve it. But to see it actually walking out is amazing to me. So it's just a beautiful thing.
Right. So now tell us again, the name of the book is?
It's Pathways to a Positive Mental Attitude, and it's conversation with world-class Napoleon Hill leaders. So us certified leaders got together and did that. And it sounds like a commercial, but it's out there on Amazon. 1 year.
That was my next question.
Yeah, 1 year from the day we started our journey. I got a chance to present this to the 2019 Napoleon Hill Leaders Certification. So it was amazing.
We are all so proud of you guys.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very proud.
This is a wonderful community. Napoleon Hill principles are strong, but one of the things I figured out, that if you're going to be around people that are really into Napoleon Hill, they want to see that you have a desire.
Right.
They want to see that it's got a plan, whether it's a perfect plan or not. They want to see that you have a plan. They want to see that you have faith, and not just faith, but applied faith. If you're walking it out, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're persistent and you follow the principles, good things will work out for you and through you. And so it's just a great organization and a great opportunity to hang out with these like-minded people. It's just cool.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And you'll come back, right?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely.
That sounds great. That's going to wrap us up for this edition of Hill Speak Podcast Radio, and we will see you next time.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you.